How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. We got. Sorry, jumped on a little. My other computer died, and I had to switch computers right in the middle of me jumping on, and I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing today? Ready to go? That's good. Well, it's a good day to have a good day, so it's may as well make it a good day, right? That's what I say.
That's what my front porch sign always says.
Yeah.
I don't change it very often. It just always says it's a good day for a good day.
I mean, really, I know it sounds kind of, I don't know, simple, but the truth is, it is, right? I mean, it's
Got
mindset.
chocolate, coffee. It's good.
Well, in this market particularly, one of our biggest challenges, and I've been talking about this a lot recently, is mindset. We can get sucked down the path of, oh, the market's crashing, or oh, what's the economy doing, or oh, the market's up, down, whatever, right? And like we all know, at the end of the day, it's mindset. We can only control so many things. One of those things we do get to control is our response to what happens, and our mindset's a big part of that. So as we embark on our journey of not only life, but especially in real estate, and people ask us questions and whatever, as their trusted advisor, as their guide through this process, we have to have the right mindset about it, or we're basically bringing that kind of negativity or fear or other things to the conversation when it doesn't necessarily need to. So yeah, I just encourage you guys. Mindset is key these days, and it will be over the next year. We'll all have to focus and spend time in our life keeping a good mindset. So that's my encouragement for the day. Today we have a great agent with us here that's been around for well over a decade. You've been around what, 15, 16 years or something?
Yeah, going on 16.
Yeah. And one of the greatest things about this market, as you guys as you already are seeing, is that houses are not selling in 3 hours, which means there are houses available to hold open. And one of the great things about holding a house open, amongst many things that will be talked about today, is that you have an opportunity to connect with people and be somewhere where a willing buyer or willing seller could actually walk through the door. And short of living in a resort real estate town somewhere, there's not too many places where you can just sit there and have a buyer or seller literally walk through the door. So as we embark on this new season in the market, I encourage you guys to take copious notes today, because open houses are going to be a really good tool for us, and we really need to embrace what it is, not just show up, but actually embrace all the things that an open house can be for us, and look at all the opportunities there. So Dan Goss is his name, and I'll let him introduce more about himself, but he's been around for a while and knows what he's talking about. And I encourage you guys to obviously to embrace it, as I said, but take good notes. And before we jump into that, anybody have any wins they want to share, any positives or things they want to share with the group? That good, huh? That's funny. Well, good.
Well, I got a win is completed my 2023 business plan.
That is a win.
I'm happy.
Hey, does anybody here know what month it is in real estate for real? Like right now, it's October 26th, but what is it? If you think in terms of real estate as a business, what month are we really in right now?
January.
That's right. We are not in October. We are in January. So everything you're doing right now, you're in 2023 already. Think of it that way.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, because today when I was reaching out to do, I don't remember what training it was, but one of the trainings they said, like send out 25 emails and follow up on Friday or whatnot. So as I was doing, sending out information and like making those connections, somebody was like, oh yeah, hey, well, don't forget, reach out to their son and daughter-in-law. They're going to be buying this spring. So just like making that connection, she was like, oh yeah, make sure you reach out to my son and daughter-in-law, which I don't really know them that well, but I know her. So it was just like nice that she was making that connection. Like, oh, well, I will make sure that,
Yeah.
relaying information that they're already thinking about it. And now I'm a real estate agent, which obviously I'm brand new. So just getting my name out there and letting people know. Otherwise, how am I going to do any business?
Yeah. And isn't it funny how in our minds, I mean, I don't know about you, but for, excuse me, for most of us, the end of the year, there's kind of like this whole cadence of life, right? So we live, and then it's the end of the year. We kind of just, okay, it's the holidays, it's New Year's, all this stuff. And then, all right, let's start back up. It's January, right? And our business, because it's 3 months, 4 months, 6 months out all the time. If we wait and do that, what we're doing at that moment is we're actually impacting our spring, we're impacting our next summer. And it's hard because the world around us doesn't operate that way in many ways, unless you've been in certain businesses that keep you thinking that way, or certain retail where you're always thinking 6 months out or more. But for most of us, the truth is that the people around us, the people we're talking to, it's all kind of geared around this kind of wind down for the year and then crank it back up starting in January. And we have to, it's just a reminder to all of us, we have to almost resist the urge to get caught up in that and keep our minds focused on where we are in our goals in January in 2023. Like I said, this is right now, we're working on our January 2023 goals and how we're doing on that. And I'll tell you, for me, it's hard to remember that because my whole world, my kids, everything around me is always talking end of the year, and that what you just mentioned is a good example of that. I think I'm going to buy in the spring or sell my house in a couple months. That's January. I mean, that's already that conversation. So without further ado, I will turn it on over here and, let Dan, if he wants to introduce himself and, yeah.
Some of you I've met, some of you I haven't. My name's Dan Goss. I've been in the business for over 15 years, and I've been with Keller Williams for 6. Wish I'd started with Keller Williams. It was like night and day once I came over. I am currently teamed up with Place Inc. We are doing it. We're going to have an expansion team here in Eugene. Our goal is to be up to 20 agents by the end of next year with this expansion team. I'm currently working with Eric Harpel, who some of you know because he's done some classes here in Eugene, and we're going to hit the ground running. And we've got our business plans done. And like Eric was saying, your business plan doesn't mean you start in the calendar year January. It means you start it now. The idea is to fill that pipeline with people that you can put in your database, and so once January comes, you're not thinking, okay, well, if I do good in January, I'll have closings in February. You want closings in January. You don't want to wait for that. So I encourage you to get your business plan done and start hitting the ground right now. But anyway, today we're going to talk about open houses. I appreciate the intro, Eric, and look forward to a couple hours of teaching you hopefully some things that are going to really help your business. Open house is kind of part of my big plan. I use open houses as a probably a little more than a third of my business. And so I've got a pretty intricate plan when it comes to open houses. And so that's what we're going to cover today is basically how to capture leads and then how to incorporate that into your database and then prepare a prospect and the pursuit model when it comes to open houses. I'm going to go ahead and open up a PowerPoint and share this with you. Let's see. Let's go with Well, where is it? Where'd it go? Put it in Google. Bring this screen up. Okay, can you all see that okay? Yes, no?
I don't see anything.
I don't see anything. I see that you.
It
it
says
shows-
it's loading.
Oh, yeah.
Loading. It should have the first page of Ignite, capture leads with open house.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Okay.
Now it's there.
Okay, good deal. All right, and then what I'd like to do is, make sure that there's participation. If you have some ahas, don't be afraid to let us know. Your aha may not be somebody else's aha, but it may be beneficial to everybody else. It's interesting. Part of the thing is that it's to ask, for me to ask you and to pick out people who have birthdays within a certain period of time. So who has birthdays within the next 12 months? Who does not have a birthday within the next 12 months? Because you're lying or you don't understand the joke. So anyway, I just encourage you to participate. So what we're going to do is, first of all, what are the challenges that anyone has encountered? Have you had an open house?
Nobody showing up.
Yeah, nobody showing up. Okay. So part of getting it out there, part of targeting a group, circle prospecting, door knocking, things like that will help. And we'll go over that. And then was everyone able to meet with their accountability partner? I guess on the previous one. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Good, because I don't know why they're asking that either. Anyway, if you'll go to should be page 7.2 in your booklet there. And so what we're going to cover is the agenda today, and the agenda is open houses. How do you prospect with open houses? And then by the end of the session, you'll be able to describe benefits of holding an open house. You'll be able to identify the best practices for holding an open house, and you'll be prepared to hold an open house. Start by thinking what you learned today. Let's consider questions that you might have, and then what we'd like to learn more about. This, it says to find a partner. I'm assuming that this is, if it's an in-class type of deal, so I'm not going to ask you to find a partner. But do jot down notes as we go through so that you can refer to those. And so if you go ahead and like I say, that 7.2 is basically to be able to put any notes in what we're trying to cover. And then go ahead and you can turn to 7.3 under open houses. And so why do we begin this session on open houses with this quote? The quote is, oops. Oh, slide. Yeah, my computer's running a little slow here. There we go. Well, while my computer's loading, as a new agent, open houses are easy. They're fun. They're low cost. That's a big deal, especially if your budget is quite as much as like a large team. It's a low cost way to get prospects and to fill your database. You have business opportunities to meet people, add to your database, set appointments, especially with the with interested buyers. For many agents, holding an open house is their #1 strategy to building a strong business. And in fact, I know somebody who is in our office who is one of the top individual agents, and that's how he started, was with open houses. He did as many open houses as he could, and he was very successful with it. Other visitors may not actually be looking to sell, but nevertheless, if you can communicate and build a rapport with those people, they can become people in your database that down the road would become a customer. So this is a quote by Gary Keller: "Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have." That's in the Millionaire Real Estate book. If you haven't read that, definitely it should be one of your first reads. Before engaging in-person activities, make sure you consult with your jurisdiction. When we went through the COVID restrictions, we had to conduct our open houses in a certain way. Sometimes at one point we weren't able to do open houses. So you want to make sure that you check and make sure that there's no restrictions in holding an open house, and then abide by any of those restrictions that may be there. What we will do is we'll dispel with limiting beliefs. When you're introduced with 6-person perspectives, specifically removing the limited beliefs. However, you may have some limiting beliefs about open houses. I don't have a listing to hold an open house. I don't have signs yet. I may not know the answers to the questions visitors have. Open houses don't really work because most people look online, and then I won't feel safe. Big thing there. So let's address these. I don't have a listing to hold an open house. Well, ask other agents. You can ask agents within our facility. I've even talked to agents outside of Keller Williams in doing an open house. Other agents that I have a good rapport with, that I have a good relationship with, I can go ask them, hey, if you got a new listing, let me know. I'll be happy to do an open house for you. So a lot of agents don't like to do their own open houses. Put it out there. Don't just wait to ask. Put it out there and say, hey, I've waited. I'd be happy to do an open house if anybody has anything coming up. So you don't have to have a listing to do an open house. I don't have any signs yet. Our market center has signs that you can borrow. You can ask other agents, hey, the market center is out of signs, and I need some signs for an open house. Do you mind if I borrow some signs for a weekend? So don't worry about whether or not you have your own signs. Until you do have your own signs, ask to borrow some. So I may not know the answers to the questions visitors have. Prepare in advance. And we'll discuss more about this. We'll go into this more in a little later. Open houses don't work. Yes, people do look online, yet many buyers and neighbors like to actually walk through, and this provides you with the opportunity to meet people. The idea of an open house, one of the ideas is to sell the house, having people come through. The likelihood of you selling that particular house during an open house is probably not great. The idea of an open house is to build your database, is to build your prospects. And that's why we have those open houses. every once in a while, we will sell the open house from somebody that comes through, but that's very rare. It actually is very rare. So understand what the purpose of the open house is, and don't get frustrated if you don't sell the house from an open house. You know, you want to rejoice in your wins. Rejoice that you got 3 new people in your database. I won't be safe. So that's a very valid point, and we're going to cover that into more detail also. See where we at here. Dispel limiting beliefs. I think we're still on 7.3. Should everyone should every open house be held? You know, or should every house be held open? Under what circumstances would you not recommend holding an open house? Any ideas? Anybody? Why wouldn't you hold an open house?
If they didn't want you to hold an open house for them, like they weren't comfortable having people come through their home.
Exactly. If the seller specifically does not agree to have an open house, this is one of the reasons. Anybody else?
Yeah, you don't want to do an open house. It's going to be somewhere secluded where you're not going to get any traffic.
Exactly. You know, it's really, you know, if you're have an open house on a house that's 100 acres that is up past Blue River, you know, it's probably not going to be a great open house for you. It's also secluded, so it also leaves you open to less safeties. If somebody wanted to come in, it's not a busy area. So that may be a reason to not have an open house. Any others?
If there's a COVID shutdown and nobody's
COVID shutdown. So during times of pandemic, yeah, absolutely.
going to want to be bumping elbows, unfortunately.
For me, if somebody's not willing to clean their house and declutter it, and it looks a mess, and they're not willing to do that, I'm not willing to do an open house for them, because they're not interested in really selling their house if they don't want to go to the work. So if somebody doesn't get it ready to show, it's probably a reason not to have an open house. Because the last thing you want to do is be associated with, you know, when people come in and they go, wow, this person has this listing, or, you know, is doing this open house and this place isn't clean or anything like that. And you want to be associated with houses that are ready to view. So that's another reason.
Can I ask a quick question that's kind of a side note off of that? If you did have a house that was very cluttered or not, you know, like in a showing condition, how would you go about talking with your seller about that in a way that didn't make them feel like, hey, you live in a dirty house or you've got too much shit?
You know, when I go in fact, I've had a couple recently that I've gone in, and you know, they were a bit of a nightmare. And I said, and I told them, I said, well, one of the things that we want to do is we'll go through and see, well, is there something that you can do that you're going to get your money back out of, that's not going to cost a lot, that and maybe just a little bit of time. You know, there's things that you don't want to do that you're not going to get your money back out of. But one of the easiest ways to bring the value up with your house is to do what we call decluttering. And what that does is that basically anything that you don't need to have, you get it boxed up, you get it put away. And if you don't have storage for it, you just, you know, going to put it out in the garage, just make it neat, you know. But when you talk to people about the best number one way of bringing up the value of their home, decluttering is the cheapest and easiest way to do it. And so,
Okay.
so you know, you can say, well, you need to put a new roof on it, you need to do this, you know, stuff. Well, those are expensive, time-consuming, you know, reasons. Decluttering is the least amount, and when you talk to them about what the least amount of money and a little bit of effort to increase the value. So you talk about it as increasing the value, because that's what they're doing. When people look at a clean house versus a dirty house, if they looked at the same house, they're gonna pay more for the clean house.
Well, and if I may chime in as well,
Yeah.
I've had that conversation, and what I've kind of brought up to them is, if you're getting ready to sell your house, you're getting ready to move anyway.
Yes.
So, you're basically just getting ahead on your packing and cleaning up.
And it might be better to give it a couple more weeks rather than, to wait to get it clean rather than try to show it right away, to get it sold, because you're going to be much better off. You're going to get more for your money, for your house, and it's going to show better. So yes, absolutely. So we are still on 7.3. So when open houses, basically who benefits in open houses? Sellers, buyers, neighbors, and you as the agent all benefit. So the sellers, you're showing the house to lots of potential buyers and all at one time. So you're getting high exposure for the seller. For buyers, they get to see an open house without an obligation of buying it. Sometimes they feel that if they go look at a house with their agent, sometimes they feel a little bit more obligated to act on it because the agent picked it out for them, versus going and seeing an open house and not feeling so obligated about it. They also don't need to go and get qualified. So it might be somebody that's thinking about buying, but they haven't talked to a lender and they're not qualified yet. So they're able to go in without that obligation of being qualified. And then they're also going in to research houses. It's also going to give them an idea what houses are selling for in the neighborhood, and being able to see the insides of the houses. For the neighbors, neighbors get to see their homes, how their homes compare to other houses that are now on the market. So I can't tell you, almost every open house I have what we call looky-loos. They come in from the neighborhood, they're curious as to how this house looks inside and compared to their own house. But a lot of times those people will end up turning into clients if you build that rapport with them. And then you as the agent, it's just a great way to capture leads. And so both sellers and buyers. Recently, I did an open house, and one of the things that I do, is I do both prospecting based and marketing enhanced lead generation. So I'm going to, obviously I'm going to market the open house ahead of time on, social media, on the internet, on different classified ad sites, and so on and so forth. But I'm gonna also do door knocking. One of the things that I do is I like to get out about 2 hours before the open house. My goal is to door knock 50 homes, and you can do that in 2 hours easily. The last one that I was at, I was late getting out, and I managed to door knock 25 homes. Out of those 25 homes, I had 3 that were thinking about selling their home, and they were also going to buy in the local area. And so now they're in my database, and so I'm working with those people. That was just on door knocking 25 homes. So when you say that I don't have people coming to my open house, well, one of the things that you're failing to understand is that you have that opportunity to go door knock the local area. And so by door knocking, I have a flyer, and I just introduce myself and I say, hey, I'm doing an open house at such and such an address right here close by, and I just wanted to personally invite you to the open house. And that gets them talking. They might say thanks, or which house, or their questions. They say, oh really, stuff. I'd be curious to come over and take a look and see how it compares to my house. you start talking to people. It's a soft way of getting people to put their guard down, because typically you'll see these signs says no soliciting.
So Dan, do you do your flyers through like MLS or RPR or one of those?
RPR. I'll do the flyers typically through RPR, and then put together you're invited, headline. You're invited, and then with the address, and then
I see, and then you hand those out as you're doing your door knocking.
yeah, I do my door knocking. Now, one of the things is I keep a folder with me. So the folder basically it looks like this, and all it is that I put my flyers on one side, on this side, and I got my notepad on the other side. So when I'm handing flyers out, the notepad is down, and then I'm handing the flyer out. What I've done is I put in the address that I'm going to be door knocking. I just put in the street, and then I just go down, I put the numbers. And then what I can do is after I'm done with that, I can switch it, I can flip it over, and I can put my notes for each one. Now, since I'm putting notes, if I have somebody who's giving me their phone number, wants to talk more and things like that, I'm going to have this flipped up. Well, I might make a note, and this is inside information. I might make a note on one that really was kind of an ass, but I'm not gonna write down ass on there. I'm gonna write down something like mule or donkey or something like that, or long or long ears, something to like that. I'm not gonna, because once I flip that over, if somebody happens to see it, I don't want them seeing that I'm writing down, ass or jerk or something like that. I'm gonna have some code words in there. But the reason I do that is because that's not the last time I'm gonna knock on that door. So I wanna know what happened the first time I knocked on the door. So with an open house, you're going to go door knocking before you do your open house. That's a way to invite the neighbors. And one of the other questions I ask them is that, say, by the way, this would also be a good opportunity to get a neighbor that you really want to have. So if you happen to know of anybody that's looking to buy in this neighborhood, can I personally invite them? They get to pick their own neighbor. A lot of times I get a little chuckle out of it, that they get to pick their
next neighbor.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
Want to have as a neighbor, type of deal. So anyway, don't look at it as a sales call and the no soliciting. I still don't knock on doors that say no soliciting. I used to, and I didn't ever have anybody whine about it, but I just think, they tend to be a little bit irritated. And so rather than deal with irritated people, I'd rather just knock on doors that I know that I'm going to have a good response. So knock on your doors. And so knocking on doors is kind of the prospecting based, but then you have the marketing based because you're handing them a flyer. So there's different ways of getting reaching out to people. When you do have your open house, then that's where you're setting your table out. Now, the way that I do this is I set a table out in front. If it's covered, I set it outside the front door, and I put the binder there, and I sign in, and so people are seeing that. I put balloons out. I draw attention to it. But once I have them in, I don't keep flyers on me inside the house. The reason being is because people take flyers, and they may not have put any information down in the book, and you didn't capture any lead on it. What I do is I keep my laptop open, and I have it to the client page of the listing. And so if they ask for a flyer, I say, sure. And I turn my laptop around, and I ask them, I say, so what's the email that I can send this flyer to? And it's amazing how many people will just give me their email. And so what did I just do? I just captured their email. I get to talking, I know their name ahead at that time because I'm going to ask them who, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm Dan, and they're typically going to tell me what their name is. So there's different ways of capturing. The thing about open houses is to build that relationship with people.
What do you do if you don't have internet or access to internet at the home you're going to?
Well, then you might have to go old school. Typically, if you don't have internet, you do have your phone. Your phone's going to work at most places.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
so you can go through your phone, and you can go through the RMLS. If you don't have the internet, you can download a PDF onto your phone and just go ahead and send them the PDF, through their phone number, text it to them. So that's another way to do it, and be able to capture their phone number. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the benefits of open houses. So that would be 7.4 of your binder. And so what do you think are some of the benefits of open houses?
Well, I think the first thing would be growing your database.
That's typically that's going to be your number one reason of having an open house. But you can build your database through advertising, through marketing, through different lead generation companies, and stuff like that. What's the advantage of building your database through an open house? It's inexpensive. You're not putting a huge amount of money out of your pocket. You got some flyers to hand out while you're door knocking. You got to have, I've got bad knees. I can still door knock. So, you don't have to be in too good of a shape to go out and door knock. So it's just a cheap, easy way to build your database.
And it's more because you're getting to see these people face to face, and rather than just a name or a contact online.
Exactly, they instantly become met. One of the goals, you can get leads from lead generation companies. You can get leads from these lead companies that you pay a percentage on the back end and stuff, but a lot of times you're not getting face to face, and our goal is to get face to face. If we can get face to face, our percentage of closing a deal goes up tremendously. And so what's nice is with open houses, you're already getting face to face with people. You're getting face to face with the neighborhood. And I'll go into more detail about how to really capture leads from an open house by follow-up. So that's one. So basically, having an open house is relatively expensive or inexpensive. Even though that they're inexpensive, though, the place method that teaches our onboarding agents how to do an open house, that to do it right, it's about 7 hours of your time to do it right. But if somebody just did open houses, we teach them how to get to a certain, to within their first year. Our goal is that they make 125,000. And somebody can just do an open houses if they do it do it right. So we'll get into a lot more of that. Clients and agents meet at open houses and can quickly qualify the leads. When I'm talking with people and building a rapport, when you talk, you also listen. You listen to, is there something you can relate to? Tim, I mean, you got so much background that you could relate to most anybody, so you have a great advantage. I've done everything from logging to coaching, to, law enforcement, to owning my own businesses, firefighting during summers, going to college, and stuff like that. So I listen for that opening. I listen to, to some, to them talk about their own, themselves, about their backgrounds and stuff. And I almost always will find an opening to come in and relate to somebody. And that's what our goal is, to relate to people. So that's the advantage is that we're able to see it as we talk to them, if they are just starting to look, if they've been looking for a while, if they've gotten pre-qualified, if they're in need of a lender. Another great way to get a phone number and an email is, hey, I've got a great lender. There's Keller Mortgage, which is, associated with Keller Williams. And in fact, while you're, if you do refer Keller Mortgage, make sure that you have your disclosure that that Keller Williams is associated to, because you don't want to get in trouble by referring somebody that Keller Williams is associated. So you have to have that disclosure. If you work with a local lender, hey, I've got a great lender, I can refer to you. So I'd be happy to have them give you a call. What's your number, and what's your email? And another way to capture their information. Because the main thing that you invest in preparing an open house is time, the return on investment can be tremendous. That's the other thing, is that you can spend thousands of dollars on lead generation and still not have as much in your database that you get from open houses. And so the return on investment is incredible. You didn't spend a lot of money, you spent some time, and through follow-up, you managed to, basically without any money, much money out of pocket, be able to close 10, 15, 20 deals just doing open houses. So getting your leads, is a primary reason to have an open house, but being able to get those Mets, the qualified, not spending a lot of money, following up with people. It's not just doing the open house, it's doing the open house correctly.
You usually put out like some refreshments, cookies or whatever, something.
Sometimes I do. If I invite a lender, one of the things you can do is is don't be afraid to ask your lender that you've been working with, an escrow officer that you've been working with primarily, or something like that, to do the open house with you, and that they can, that what they can do is they'll be the ones to bring the refreshments. Say, hey, can you bring some refreshments?
Oh, that's a great idea.
They're willing to put money out to help you because they know it's also going to help them.
Sure.
What types of leads are you most likely to get from open houses?
Well, it could be a buyer lead, a seller lead.
Most of the time you're going to get buyer leads. People are looking at open houses. Most of the people coming through are potential buyers. And so most of the time you are going to get buyer leads, but that doesn't mean that you can't work it correctly to get seller leads too. Make sure we're still on. Yep. So at this point, let me ask you what anything new that's come to you guys that you go aha, or wow, or anything like that that's helping you?
Yeah, I think the idea of putting your flyers and stuff outside on a table or whatever, if it's covered, like you were talking about, that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah.
But just ways to capture their information. In other words, if you have you have a lender you're working with, and you rather than hand them your lender's card, to tell them you'd like to send them that information, and then you get their email and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't keep my lender cards with me. I'm, you know, I'm gonna think of any way I can to capture that phone number, that email, or both. You know, and the more you can connect with that person and not try to sell them. You know, we're in the people business. Not in the sales business. We're in the people business. We're in the relationship business. We build relationships with our clients. I have a lot of clients that have become good friends. You know, it's just, you know, people that you enjoy working with. That's the other nice thing in real estate. You can work with the people you like to work with. You don't have to work with the people you don't like. So.
Right. So once you get their email address and that sort of thing, and you say you send them your lender's information or whatever, how do you go about the conversation in terms of, is it okay if I send you something a couple times a month? Because you want to stay top of mind with them, obviously, if they do want to do business with you in the future. What's your conversation?
So I kind of ask them, you know, well, you know, what are you looking for? You know, is this something that meets your criteria, or are you looking for something a little bit different? And start writing it down. What are they looking for? And you know, what's your price range? You know, what's kind of your top end? Start writing their criteria down and everything, and say, you know something, I'll tell you what, I'm going to set you up in my personal hot sheet. And then I'm going to go ahead and start looking for some properties and sending them your way.
Yeah, I've sent out a lot of property reports through RPR. You can print it out, or you can just send it in an email, you know, an attachment, and that really helps. But I was just curious how you get them to the point to where they're not going to be upset by, you know, bothering them with sending them stuff, you know.
Yeah, I mean, once you have their criteria, then you can also add, you know, that I'm also going to set up a search tool in our website that you can go to, and our website is directly, at least ours is directly linked live to the MLS. And you just say it's not like those websites that like Zillow and Trulia and so on, because you'll go on there and I can't tell you how many times that I see that a client sees something, calls me up and says, hey, I want to take a look at this house, and it's already sold or it's already pending, but it doesn't say that on the website. And versus our website is linked directly and live to the MLS. So you're able to go in and you can adjust your criteria and do some searches yourself too. And if it says that it's active, then it's active. You know, if it says otherwise, it'll say it's pending, you know, and things, it's going to be live. And people like that. You know, sell them on your app, on the Keller Williams app. That they put on their phone, you know, is that they, you know, I mean, the beauty about that app is that you can go around in the neighborhood and it will show them all the houses for sale right where they're at, you know, so they can go to a neighborhood that they like, and then they can they can pull it up on your app and see all the houses that are available. You know, so they can do a lot of their searches themselves. Offer up other open houses. I put together, before I do an open house, I look and see what other open houses there's going to be in that area that I'm going to be in. And I make a list for them and I say, hey, would you like to know other open houses within this neighborhood? And I give them the list. I don't care if it's another agent. What I'm doing is I'm giving them something of value. And that's what you want to do, is you want to give them something of value. Hey, I know a lender that can help you. I've got a list of other open houses that I can give you. You know, everything is, you know, trying to find something of value that you give them. Otherwise, they feel that you're trying to sell them.
Sure,
you know?
yeah.
But if you can find them something of value, then that's great. So moving on today, best practices. We've covered why open houses are beneficial. Now let's go over what best practices to put in place to solidify the effort. So if you go to 7.5, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting excited about how questions and how you do open houses and stuff. That I'm falling a little bit behind, but we'll get caught back up here. Open houses, setting goals. So remember the 6 personal perspectives, specifically E to P with everything we do. And then it's essential to be purposeful in your mindset and your actions. One of the things that we talk about is they used to call it the GPS, and Ben Kinney, who founded Place Inc. They changed it to GPA. So basically, you're not only setting your goals, but you're also setting your priorities. You're also setting your activities to achieve your goals, because you can set your goals all day long, but it's not going to make you any money. What it is it gives you something to strive for, but you have to put in your activities, and you have to put in your priorities, your mindset on how to get to that end goal. And then as you start to get there, you are always adjusting your goal. So whether you set your goals a little too high and you're active, but your activities don't coincide with that goal, they may get you something a little lower. You got to adjust. Maybe you set your goal too low and your activities created something much bigger. And so you've always got to adjust that goal, but you have to have the activities to get to that goal. And so when you do your business plan, don't just put down your goals, put down your activities. How are you going to get there? Before your open house, set concrete and achievable goals. For example, tell yourself that your goal is to add 6 people to your database. If your open houses just aren't bringing in the number of people, and you don't have time to door knock and things, then your goal of adding 6 people is probably too high of a goal. Make sure your goals are achievable. If you're going out and you're doing everything, you're knocking on doors, you're inviting them. After your open house, when it goes pending, you're knocking on those same doors. And you're saying, hey, just want to let you know that the house went pending and we had a lot of buyers that were interested. And do you happen to know if anybody in the neighborhood's been talking about selling their home? Because we had a lot of buyers. Are you thinking about selling yours in the near future? And so you're not re-knocking on those doors. You're re-looking at your notes. The ones that say mule or jack, or donkey or something, probably don't want to knock on their door anymore. Pick the people that you want to work with. So setting the goals and making sure that they're achievable is important. So don't get so lofty out there on your goals that you become disappointed because you're not getting there. Make it an achievable goal, but make it something that you do have to work at to attain. Don't make it too easy so that it's kind of easy getting there, and I just that's all I'm willing to put into it. You want to push yourself. So think back earlier to when we said that goals are not just getting appointments. Open houses are a great way to generate leads. Which is, like we said, the main purpose. We want to build that database. You want to work a database, but you got to put people in there to be able to work it. Picking the house is important. It's important to look for a great and visible location, preferably no more than 3 turns from a major road. So we talked about, doing the 100 acres, you probably not, out in Timbuktu, you're probably not going to want to do an open house on that. Probably want to make sure that you know, that you have a photographer that also does the virtual tours. So that, you know, people who are, you know, something that's more remote like that, you've got a virtual tour that people don't even have to drive there to see it, that they can actually see it through the virtual tour. That's going to get you more exposure on a house like that. But on open house, you want to be, you know, fairly close to, you know, to a main road. You want to be able to put signs out on a main road where there's a lot of traffic, you know, to be able to see your signs. You want to have a lot of signs out. You want to have signs at every turn, and so that everyone you're basically have a bunch of people that you're law enforcement now. You're directing traffic, and so you're directing traffic right to your open house. Now, if there's a spot where they don't know if they are turning, you know, if they're turning or going straight, you probably you want to put a sign out there that gives them that direction. So pick the house a few turns from a major road and put enough signs out to direct them to that. So as you're preparing for an open house, you should also know that the closest, you know, shopping centers, all the, you know, the amenities, the hospitals close by, bus lines, anything else you can think of that's going to add value to the house. You should know that before you have in the open house. Also consider what the average prices are selling for in the market, and adjust your choice of house based on this. One of the things I do is I take the market report that gets sent out each week, and that shows how many days on market, you know, gives you your different prices, what the average sales price is going for, what, you know, if it's going for percentage over, percentage under your list price, and take a current one, but also take one from, say, 3 months ago, so that you can show them what the difference, what's happening in the market. You know, you want to know what is going on in the market so you can convey that to your clients. The more educated you are, the more professional you look to that person. So prepare, and I think that was supposed to be practice. I think it's missing a C in there. So before you host your open house, prepare a list of questions that you may be asked, and practice your conversation starters. Get with somebody, you know, team up and just start asking each other questions that you might think that somebody might ask at an open house, you know, and answer those questions. You don't know the answers, find the answer, you know, find, you know, what you should be telling them. Potential clients might ask why a house is for sale. When the house was last renovated, how old the roof is, things like that. And so know those answers. You know, ask the seller, you know, about the house. When was it last renovated? If it was dated, you know, how old's the roof? You're probably not going to know that ahead of time without talking to the seller. So you want to talk to the seller. Once you've captured their contact information, though, you'll have plenty of opportunities to wow them with your technology and expertise if you've got those answers. Be the professional, be the expert, because that's why people hire us, is because we are the expert.
Is it appropriate to try and get a hold of the sellers when it's somebody else's listing?
You can contact the listing agent and see if they know, and if they don't, ask you, do you mind if I go ahead and give the seller a call? You know,
Okay.
or
Yeah, I was just wondering about that.
So typically, if it's not my listing, I'm gonna talk to the other agent. I did an open house on one that wasn't mine, and we're actually pending on it. I have a client that actually decided to buy it, and we're going to be closing this week on it. But it wasn't my listing, and I did the open house. And
So because you got the buyer through the open house, it ended up
no,
in your deal.
it was a buyer that I was already working with and stuff. And I said, hey, I did an open house at this house. Let's go take a look at it, you know, and stuff. And so it was after the open house.
I
And
see.
so at first she thought, well, you know, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, but it's dated and things. And I said, well, you know, at the time the price was too high. And the representative is an estate, and the representative of the caretaker, who is married to the representative, called me, and you know, because he saw my cards on them, you know, from the open house, and said, hey, you know, what can I do, you know, and stuff. And I said, well, I'm showing a house out there. I can come over and kind of give you some ideas on what I think might work for you. And so I told him, I said, you know, I went over and I said, look, I said, you can put a lot. I said, first of all, you know, you can put a lot of effort, money into the house to bring it up to what the list price is, or you can just lower the price. And he says, well, what do you think that I should lower it to? And at that point, it's not my list. I said, look, I said, you need to call the listing agent, because they're the ones that need to tell you, you know, what they think. It's not my listing, and I'm not going to step on toes.
Sure. Yeah.
And things. So be very careful, you know, in a situation like that. You know, you want to be respectful of who the listing agent is, you know, and that it's their listing and not your listing. But yeah, I mean, typically I'm gonna call the listing agent though, to ask those questions. And then if he doesn't know or she doesn't know, then I'm gonna ask to talk to the seller, or if they can find out for me.
Great.
For the open house. I mean, because let's face it, you know, you're doing them a favor too. They don't want to do the open house, but you're willing to do an open house for them to try to find a buyer for their, you know, for their listing. So they, you know, if they're not willing to help you out, you probably shouldn't do an open house for them.
Right. So how does it work if, say you're doing the open house and one of the people that come and tour the open house actually end up wanting to buy the house? Do you end up being their broker, you know, the buyer's broker at that point?
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions that I'm going to ask somebody is, you know, are you working with a buyer's agent, you know, currently, and you know, so that you know ahead of time if you're really kind of wasting your time, because you know, you get these people that I think it's a little unethical if somebody's working with a buyer's agent and then they try to then somebody who's doing an open house tries to still go after that after they've already told you that.
So the first question should be, do you have an agent?
Well, you know, once you start building that rapport and you start talking about, you know, what they're looking for, you say, oh, you know, by the way, are you working with an agent currently? You know, because how much more time do you want to waste asking them questions when they're already working with another agent? And
right.
and so yeah, but you know what I do though, to show them that I'm an ethical person, and it's going to make their agent feel good about working with me, is I'll say, you know, well, hey, I'll you know, if you're interested in the property, let me know or let your agent know. And I said, I'll talk to your agent then about it, and we'll go from there. And by them telling me who their agent is, I'm going to make a note of that, because I'm going to call the agent and say, hey, you know, your client went through our open house today, you know, and stuff, and I'd like to get a little more feedback, and you might talk to them about it, you know, because maybe they're interested. Yeah, you know, so you don't want to build that reputation of that you're stealing clients from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good.
Yeah. So what time do you pick for the open house? So there's different things to consider. Would I do an open house during the UCLA Oregon game?
Yeah, probably not.
No.
Not a good idea.
No, not when you got 60,000 people that are at the stadium, and the majority of the rest of them are at their home, you know, watching the game or at prime time or wherever they're going to be. If there's a big, huge event where people are more focused on that, probably not. The flip side of that is, well, what if you do an open house during a football game, let's say? Have it on the TV there at the open house.
Great idea.
When people come in, the game's on. You don't have to have it blaring, but you can have it on so that because the wife wants to come in and look at open houses. The husband's going, oh my God, what's going on with the game? Or the flip side. I mean, my wife is a big Duck fan.
Yeah, I just happened to be at the gym when that game was on, and got to see the tail end of it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the gym had it on there.
Yeah. No, it was good. I've got season tickets, and that was a great game.
Yeah, it was.
The atmosphere was just incredible. And I've met people, potential clients at football games. Anything I do, I'm thinking, do I have somebody I can add to my database? So it doesn't matter what you're doing, always be on that, is this somebody that I can add to my database? So any themes, open house themes, and stuff. It's Halloween. Do an open house with in a costume, and stuff. People, they'll remember that. They'll remember you. It's have some stuff out in front, things like that. But sometimes just a theme. High-end homes. I've seen agents hire caterers to come in and cater a high-end home open house, and that draws a lot of people
I bet it does. What does something like that cost? I wonder.
I'm sorry, I'm sort of sure that they're probably invested $400 or $500 into an open house. My feeling is I'm not going to put that kind of money into an open house when my goal is to add to my database, and I can get that by doing door knocking.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So anyway, so picking the time, is important. Know what's going on at the same time. One of the things that I used to do is I used to do open houses for 4 hours. And what I found is we reduced it to 2 hours for open houses, is because we do, most of our listings want to do coming soon, or we get it out, if it's not our listing, get it out there, on social media and everything, that we're going to have an open house a couple days ahead of time, and then repeat every day until we have the open house. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to build, we're trying to get it out to everybody, but that 2 hours, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get everybody in a shorter period of time, because now there's more people in an open house, and that builds a sense of urgency. If you've got one person going through an open house in a 4-hour stint, and they don't see anybody else coming through, well, they're thinking, well, we can think about this one. If you got somebody coming through and there's 5 other couples in there at the same time, they're thinking, boy, we better move quickly on this one.
Yeah, if it's something they're really wanting, they probably ought to be considering making an offer.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you usually do your open houses? I would think it'd be on Saturdays and Sundays around noon.
Saturdays and Sundays, but if you think about it, what if you got people that are buyers that work on Saturday and Sunday? So they work graveyard, they work, you got certain people, maybe a smaller pool, but what if you did a lunchtime open house on a business day? People taking their time off, and you get, or what if you're close to a school? Do it at 3 o'clock when people are coming to pick their kids up, from 3 to 4, or 3 to 5. So if you look at times, pick a time that best fits the situation, best fits the geographical area. what else is going on that might move that from from a Sunday at, from 1 to 3 to a Friday from, from 3 to 5, so don't limit yourself to just Saturdays and Sundays. Think of other ways. If you, one thing is you got to know your numbers. So, starting out, you're not going to know your numbers. You're not going to know what's your average on an average open house, doing exactly all the activities that you set for yourself. And over the course of a year, how many people did you add to your database over how many certain open houses, and then how many of those database turned into closings? You'll be able to dictate how many open houses that you have to do to have X amount of closings once you know your numbers. And so you want to track those numbers. You got to track your numbers. That's kind of off kilter here, but anyway, so prepare your stats. Like we talked about, is making sure that you know what the market area, the average sales price is doing, know what how long on market, the TMO reports. Like I say, just take some TMO reports with you, both present and past, so that when you lay that down in front of people, you're the expert. They look at you as you are the expert. You're prepared. So you always want to be prepared with an open house. So moving on to 7.6. So open house safety. One thing that I've done in the past is when I working with buyer's agents, if I'm free, I'll do an open house with that buyer's agent. And the buyer is the one, she's passing out her cards. They're putting in the effort. But the advantage is, first of all, is safety. There's safety in numbers. If there's two of you, it's less likely that something's going to happen than if you're there by yourself. Secondly is that if you're running an open house right, and you've got multiple people coming in, it's a whole lot easier to stay on top of things and capture people's information if there's two of you rather than there's one. Have you ever gone to an open house and you end up with multiple people there, and you're able to kind of stay with one person, and then somebody sneaks in and sneaks out, and you didn't even get a chance to introduce yourself? This way you're able to remedy that, or have a lot less failures than in capturing information or getting to at least talk to somebody face to face. Arrive early. I always arrive early. I open up. I've got my signs set out and everything. I've already done all my door knocking, and then I get there early so that I can make sure that everything is prepared. I don't, what if you go in and all of a sudden you see the back window's broken out? It's probably a situation that you're glad you're there early so that you can, call the police or call the seller, or, whatever you need to do to get that, taken care of. Plus, frankly, I wouldn't stay in the house. If it looked like there was an intruder that came in, you don't know if that person's still in the house somewhere. So,
or if they're coming back.
yeah, exactly. So getting there early to be able to scope the place out. The other thing by getting there early is, look for your exits. If you are in a situation, you want to know immediately where those exits are. How can you get out the fastest? Park on the street. I never park in the driveway. I always park on the street. For me, it's not about a safety issue. It's about allowing people to, clients to feel important that they are able to park in the driveway or park closer to the house. I typically will park down the street. And then, like I said, check all the entrances and exits. Make sure that your cell phone is fully charged. I always take my charger with me, and I'll have my cell phone on the charger. And then when somebody comes in, I take it off the charger and I have it with me. That way I know that it's always being charged. Again, safety, partly safety issue, but also partly because, if I don't have my computer with me or I don't have internet, or whatever, I want to be able to send things over the phone. I want to be able to capture things on my phone. Turn on all the lights. It drives me crazy when I go by a vacant home and the outside light is not on. Criminals are more likely to break into a house that doesn't have the outside light on because they can work better in the dark. If you have the outside light on both the back and the front, then it's gonna be a better safety issue for the house. But it also, what if you got to go to a vacant home at night? You're previewing it for a client, so you don't even have a client with you. You want to know that light is on. You want to be able to see if somebody's jarred the door open, and you're not going to be able to see that if it's dark, or if somebody's in wait to see if somebody comes too. So always encourage your clients to turn on the lights and turn on the lights yourself. Always have all the lights on in the house. It shows better too. Check your local COVID guidelines, of course. Right now our guidelines are non-restrictive. But ask your seller. If you've got a listing that you're going to do an open house, make sure it's okay with your seller that people are coming in without a mask and things, because you can't, they don't feel comfortable with that, you can make it a mask mandate to enter the house to see it. And then follow market center guidelines checklist. Does anybody know about the orange file?
I haven't heard about that.
Okay, so you can, if you're going to do an open house and say it's on a weekend, office is closed, but you can still have Sarah's cell number, or you can have another associate's number. If you're doing it during the week or during business hours, you can call in the office. And if you feel, so if something's going on, so somebody's in there that doesn't make you feel comfortable, and you're feeling like, this is just an uncomfortable situation, and you're feeling a bit in danger, you're feeling in danger or anything like that, could you hang on just a second? I want to check the file on this home. And you call and you say, this is so and so, I'm at whatever address. Could you get me the orange file? The orange file says that you don't feel comfortable or you're in need of help. And
I see.
they can call law enforcement, that somebody else that's in the area can stop by. But it's just, that way the person that's there, you're not letting them on that you're calling because you feel you need help. So anyway, so that's just there. I would encourage you to take a self-defense course if you've never been in one. I know in law enforcement, when we first started, they showed us basic moves, just basic moves, to be able to control somebody. But there's basic moves that you can use just to give you time to get away. And those self-defense courses will show you those methods that if you need to get away, and but they've got you trapped in cornered in an area and things, that those self-defense courses are going to show you what you can do that's quick and easy, and that will give you that time to get away. And so I would encourage you to take some of those courses. And some of the stuff I already know, but I would encourage you to take the course anyway. Being a former law enforcement, I have a concealed weapons permit. I don't, if you don't feel comfortable with a gun, I don't encourage you to do.
Yeah, I'm always packing myself, and I did do a bunch of years of martial arts. So, you know, if anybody wanted some free help, I'd be happy to help them
Yeah.
out too.
Yeah, and I'm available to you, you know, so if you need, so if you want, you know, want me to show you some things too. But yeah, Tim, you'd be a good resource for them. So anyway, so that's, you know, safety issues. Just make sure that you don't, that, you know, if you don't feel safe in a certain situation and you can leave, then do it. Don't take a chance. When you're showing a house or showing somebody through, if there's only one person in there, never go in front of them. You know, follow them. You know, or be at the side or follow, you know, or follow, but never go in front of somebody if you don't feel comfortable with someone. You know, just things like that. Just always being aware of your surroundings. Any more ahas to this?
Well, the orange file I had never heard of. That's a pretty good code word for help, you know, for anybody that would need it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they talk about it, you know, 2 or 3 times a year, you know, about that. But, you know, you can talk, you know, if you have any questions on that, you can talk to Sarah. She's kind of the one that came up with that. So then we can move on to your next 7.7. So the difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. Okay, so when we look at time, you know, with place, what they teach us is what are you doing that is going to close deals? It's going to build your database. It's gonna, you know, because all of that it turns into closings. And you know, if there's anything that you're doing that isn't doing that, so if you're doing your own form entry into command, you know, use a TC, leverage your time. Yes, it costs money to hire a TC, but if you think about that, okay, the time that it takes you to enter to create the opportunity, enter your forms, create your commission, and get that all down. How many people could you have called? How many people in your database, how many of your sphere could you have called in that amount of time? And I'd be willing to bet that you could potentially have one transaction in the amount of time that it took you to do that. And if that one transaction closes, you know, was it worth paying, you know, $300 or $325 for a TC to do your work? You know, so you got to think of ways that you can leverage your time. You know, how can I have other people do it to allow me more time to do with it? The stuff that is active to close deals. So prepare, prospect, and pursue. Where are we at on time? Always have your phone near you. Don't. Oh,
I got mine right here. If I can. 2:31 is the time.
31.
2:31, yeah.
2:31. Okay. All right. Well, let's get through these fast then. Most of your work for your open house is done before the day of the open house. So, you know, prepare your mindset, practice some conversations, just be ready. So always prepare for an open house. So when you do your open house, you also, to prepare your mindset, you know, remember what your goal is, you know, and that you're trying to achieve that goal through building relationships. That's what it comes down to, it, activity and building those relationships. What activities are you going to do, to get to that goal? So set high achievable goals, don't set high goals that are not achievable. Remove limiting beliefs, focus on your success, and then believe in yourself. One thing is in real estate is go in with the belief that it doesn't matter if you know something or not, but that you can find out if you don't know. Don't be afraid to go in as a new person and say, something, I'm not sure about that, but I'm going to find out for you. What's your number that I can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I always go with the line that, I really don't know that, but I've got years and years of experience at the office. It's a phone call away. I always say ahead of time, if somebody knows that I'm new, I always say that, simply there may come a question that I don't have the answer to, but it's a phone call away. There's years of experience, but at the office, just takes a minute to find out whatever you're looking for.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Just put them at ease that, there's not going to be a question. And I think the worst thing you can do is try and answer something you don't know.
Yeah. Bottom line is that you go from being professional to looking unprofessional, because if you don't know the answer and you try to explain the answer, it's going to show.
I would think so.
Really show. So be honest. I mean, that's part of our fiduciary duties is honesty. But be prepared, practice, know your goals and know your activities that you're going to do to achieve your goals. One of the things that I didn't talk about is that, is when you do your door knocking, you have your open house, you have your list now of the people that you have contact information. You want to organize that list, get them entered into your database, and you want to contact that person that day. After the open house is done, you want to contact that person. Hey, I just want to let you know, it was great to have you, have you there at our open house. Maybe it's a situation where you're going to go ahead and set up either a market report or set them up with a search, and it gives you a reason to call them, say, I got you set up in this, and things. I'm sending you a link to our website, blah, blah, blah. But follow up the same day. Don't wait till the next day or till, if you do an open house on Saturday, don't wait till Monday to start calling those people back. Do it immediately after the open house. When you make the contact, this is very important. This is what a lot of people don't do this. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't used Command as my CRM. We use Brevity with Place, and I used Follow Up Boss before. But in each one of those CRMs, you can set a task. Immediately after you make contact with somebody, set a task for the next time that you're going to make contact, whether it's an email, a text, a phone call. Immediately set that task. That way you're going to be reminded. You don't have to think, oh, did I, when did I last talk to this person? You're going to make notes. You're going to have those notes. You're going to set a task, and you're going to follow up with that. So with open houses, after you make those phone calls to those people after the open house, set a task for the next time that you're going to make contact with them, and how you're going to make contact and why you're going to make contact. And that way you're always going to have those tasks. And so every day you're going to pull up your tasks. You're going to see, okay, what tasks do I have today? And that's it. That's how you manage your database. That's how you manage those prospects. Contact, set a task. Contact, set a task. Always follow your tasks. So you're going to make that contact with those people afterwards. When you go pending, you're going to do some door knocking again, or you're going to make some phone calls, or you're going to circle prospect, before an open house. If you don't have it, say it's pouring down rain. Nobody likes to go out and, in a pouring down rain and go door knocking. Well, you can do circle prospecting. So does everyone know what circle prospecting is? So if you take a circle and you put a geographical area in that circle, those are the people you're contacting. So say your open house is right in the middle of this circle. That's circle prospecting. You're prospecting, you're calling the people around. Now you can have title give you the names of the addresses within a certain perimeter. You can say, I only want homeowners. I only want homeowners that have owned the home for, more than 4 years, more than 7 years. Your title companies will help you out with that. Your escrow officer will help you out with that. Now a dialer will actually be able to search and put those numbers in. So a dialer helps you to dial a lot of people in a short period of time. My intent is to dial 55 people a day, and that's to make 20 contacts. So 55 people a day. Now that's probably going to take me hour and a half, 2 hours to do. 55. If you try to hand dial 55 people and look it up and dial again, and stuff, probably going to take you a little bit longer. Try doing 100. I can probably, I mean, when it comes down to it, if I just take it out of my current database, I can dial 100 people in an hour. So it's, that's the advantage of having a database. Prepare your mindset, practice, and then select the house. We talked about, where in how you want to select the house. You want to be close to 3 turns away from a major road is primary. Look at houses in a geographical area. If they call it farming. If you want to do open houses and you don't have listings, find a listing in the geographical area that you want to farm, and do the open houses there. So Monday you selected a house. Tuesday, post on this is an example of how to do this. Tuesday you post it online, walk the neighborhood, invite neighbors to showing. I like to invite them the day of, and here's the reason why. If you invited them on Tuesday, do you think they're going to remember by Saturday?
Yeah, probably not.
I would rather go in and invite them right before the open house. I get a much bigger turnout that way. Wednesday, post online again, install a yard sign. Thursday, post online again. So I talked about that when we posted online, as every day we repeat that. We're building that interest. And then Friday, post online, prepare market statistics, print flyers, and door knock. So it says invite the neighbors to the showing, and then door knock on Friday. I kind of see that as kind of the same thing, unless you're doing circle prospecting on Tuesday and then you're door knocking on Friday. And like I say, I like to go on the day of. I just have had better success that way.
That seems like it'd be fresh in their mind. But when you talk about posting online, where online are you posting it?
Well, I mean, obviously MLS, you post your open house, that's going to go out to all of automatically to the Zillows, the Trulias and stuff. Anything you post on MLS goes out to all those sites. I do Craigslist. I go into Facebook. I put it on my own personal Facebook. I put it on my business Facebook, but then I go into the marketplace. And I just click on every single thing that has to do with real estate, on marketing, and it's all free. Now you can pay more to post it to more people, but I've just had success just going at, just paying like, just $10 or $20 and on the market center, and I've had it goes out to a lot of people. And so I'm constantly getting IMs, instant messages, and stuff on these properties, and some of them are scams. You just got to recognize if somebody asks you, for your Google number, they set you up on a Google account, and then they ask for your password for the Google number and stuff. Well, it's a scam.
Yeah, that's
you
what I was
just got to be aware of it. So anyway, and then so what clients like to know? They like to know community and neighborhood information. We talked about that. Relocation information, first-time home buyer specifics. A lot of that has to do with what kind of programs are out there for first-time home buyers. Know what the programs are. Talk to your lender. Have your lender make a list of different programs, or have your lender come and do the open house with you. And again, lender information, mortgage information. Ask your lender if you can't be there, what the current rates are. And know that those rates can fluctuate on a daily basis, but you're going to have the general idea about where the rates are at. You'll have the idea on, you can ask them questions about, when they're asking about mortgage. Well, are you a veteran? Would you qualify for VA? Are you looking for property outside of the city? Potentially you could qualify for USDA. USDA is 0% down. So ask those questions and to be able to answer the questions. And then prospecting. So build trust and rapport. We talked about that, how to, just talk to people and listen. I mean, if I can't stress anything anymore, more, it is to listen to the people, listen to what they have to say. A lot of times we get into, we get into a situation especially as a new agent where we're trying to sell ourselves when we should be listening to them to be able to relate to them. There's a difference between selling yourself and relating to your client. Provide value. So like I said, be able to send them a flyer, be able to offer them a lender, be able to offer them a open house list, whatever you can give them a value. That's an important step to building that relationship. Capture information and qualify the leads. Ask questions. To be able to better understand, where that person, lies within that. Are they a hot? Are they a watch? Or are they a nurture? We narrow it down to just 3. People have hot, cold, meaty, warm, stuff like that. We narrow it down to 3. We have hot, which are immediate, 1 to 3 months out. Those are hot. Anywhere from 3 months out to 1 year, are a watch, and then 1 year on is a nurture. We're going to set them up with a campaign, and we're going to nurture those people. So just makes it a little easier than having all these different things to label them with. So providing value, know your team stats, and then know what your market stats are. Like I said, TMO reports are a really good source for market stats. Understand personality types. Are they an A personality? My wife is a strong A personality. I'm not. So so we clash sometimes.
I can relate.
Yeah. So just know the personality types. What you want to do is, they call it mirroring. It's just mirror that person. If I see somebody who's laid sitting back like I am now, and I got my elbows on the chair, I'm going to mirror that person. I'm going to sit back and put my arms on the chair. Literally mirror. If they're facing forward, their arms are on the table and stuff, I'm gonna face forward, I'm gonna have my arms on the table. I'm gonna mirror them. If they're soft spoken, I'm gonna speak softly. You know, if they're kind of loud and boisterous, I'm gonna get right in there with them, you know, and stuff. So you want
Always
to,
makes them feel more at home if
Yeah,
you're,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're like-minded in their
Yeah.
opinion, rather.
exactly. You know, don't get into political
Yeah.
discussion.
Right.
Yeah. If you do, try to stay neutral. And you know, but anyway, understand the personality types and just kind of, you know, be able to mirror, you know, what their actions are. Have something to offer the visitors. So you know, whether it's a, you know, a business card that you hand them right off the bat, whether it's you know, cookies and water, or cookies and coffee, you know, be able to send them a flyer, your offerings, that to a visitor. Offer, you know, maybe you get, I got pens, you know, pens don't cost that much money. I hand out a pen. It has, you know, it has my logo on it. You know, you can do stuff like that. You can do bottle openers, you know, they're little cheap things that you can do. Bottle opener, put on your key ring and stuff. I love those. I got them on every one of my key rings. So, you know, just things like that. You think about that don't cost a lot of money. And then have a sign-in sheet. So like I say, I kind of went away from doing sign-in sheets inside the house. I found that sign-in sheets sitting outside, that people see that and if you have a blank sheet, fill in a couple names that you know. You know, write it in with your left so it looks different or something, but write in a couple so that it looks like that, you know, so that you're setting a guide for them. You know, their name, you know, I don't ever put on their email because they're not going to fill in their email. But I do put in, you know, phone number. So their name, number, and then just a box. Are they looking to buy, looking to sell, or just looking? You know, they can just check the box. And then you know, and I do put down, are you working with a realtor?
Oh, on your sign-in sheet?
On the sign-in sheet. Yeah, are you working with a realtor? Now I'll ask them too, you know, stuff if, you know, if we build that rapport and get to that point. But at least I can see, you know, if they didn't tell me or something, or I forgot to ask for some reason, which you know, I don't forget that point because I want to know if I'm wasting a lot of time. But at least I can see on the sign-in sheet. But I still get people that won't sign in, you know, or that won't fill in everything. They'll put their name and then not fill in anything else and things. But that is why you want to listen and mirror and talk with those people and offer something of value to build that rapport so that you can get that information to fill in the rest of that. And then, like I say, I don't use flyers. I use the computer, or like you say, if there's no service, we're probably not doing a open house in that area anyway. so anyway, but being able to send it so that I can capture, you know, so that I can at least capture their email, you know, and when I don't say I can send it to you, turn your computer around, turn your laptop around so that they can see it, and get into the section that it says email and say, yeah, what's your email? I'm gonna get this sent right, you know, and it'll send it over right away. You know, because if you ask them without them seeing it, they're probably less likely to give you their email. But when you're in that point, it's almost like a feeling of obligation to give their email to you. So be ready to put it in. Have your fingers on your computer, ready to type it in. And remember, you're there to get leads and appointments. Follow up with and convert leads after open houses. So we talked about, you know, continually, you know, inputting it into your database, following up with the attendees, following up with the people that you got information from on your door knocks, and then reevaluating the goals you set. You know, say like I said, for instance, if you go in and you did a bang up job and you put in, you know, well, I'm going to add 3 to my database as my goal, and you ended up adding 8, probably need to reset that goal. You know, on your open houses. And then, you know, and, you know, vice versa. You might have to, you know, put your goals to something more achievable. If you put in, well, I want 8, but I only got 4. So make sure that it's something achievable, but something hard, you know, a little bit difficult to achieve. And then, did you succeed? You know, did you meet your goals? And then what changes will you make for the next time? So planning an open house. And so you've got, if you'll notice, you've got, you know, you got your notes on prepare, but if you look at the next 2 pages, you've got this checklist of preparing for an open house. And so up to 3 days before an open house, and then the other page, the day before the open house, and then the day of the open house. And so you can go through that checklist. It's kind of a, it's a guide. I'm not going to go through all of these because it's more of a guide for you, that when you go through your open house, you're just checking off. This is, you know, I've done this, done this, done this, done this. Oh, I need to do this. So, you know, and then check it off once you've done it. So planning an open house. Any more ahas from what we talked about? Who's iPad? I see somebody that just doesn't have a name, just says iPad. Anyway, so recapping. Also, I'm getting quick on this because now I'm flying through it. Already covered all this. So open houses, best practices, setting goals, pick the house, prepare and practice, pick the time, prepare stats, and be safe. I can't stress that enough. You know, very rarely does it happen, but it has happened where, you know, somebody has lost their life, you know, showing a home to somebody they've never met before, doing an open house when there's only, you know, one person there. You know, like I say, it's rare, but it has happened. So just being safe, being cognizant of where you're at, where the, you know, where your safety exits are, you know, just always be aware. And then, you know, benefits of the open house, obviously qualifying leads, the return on investment is great. Prospecting tools that you build, and then it's inexpensive. Prepare and prospect and pursue. We just went over all of those, and so that's kind of the recap of everything that we've gone over. So where are we at on time there, Tim?
We are at 2:56.
Nice.
So Dan, how many open houses do you do in a month?
I can tell you that I set my goal this next year because because I am heading the Eugene real estate team on this expansion team, and we will be in the middle of hiring agents for our team. And so I set a goal of 36 closings, and of those closings, open houses, I'm going to be doing 24 for the year. I was going to set it at about 48, but I figured with everything else that's going on, 24 just doing 24 open houses is only 2 a month.
Right,
I
right.
set my goal at a goal that I'm gonna have to work toward, but also that I potentially can exceed. You know, I'm looking at, you know, winter times, you know, the holiday season, a little bit harder on open houses. There's not as many listings. People kind of stop listing their home during the holiday season, during, you know, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so I'm figuring, you know, football season, I'm not going to be doing an open house on Saturdays, unless it's an away game. And if it's an away game, I'm gonna do it on games that start at 5:30 or later. 12:30 is the Cal game. I'm going to be doing an open house this weekend, but I'm going to do it on Sunday. You know, so I, you know, the thing is that you want to do the activities that you need to be successful, but you don't want to forget that you have a life, that you have other people that want to spend time with you. And, you know, I've got a wife and a 17-year-old stepson that I love dearly. And, you know, we have kayaks. We like to go kayaking and doing things. We love football, you know, Oregon, going to the Oregon Ducks. And, you know, because of real estate, I did leverage my time by not coaching anymore. I've coached for over 35 years, and
Oh, cool.
every once in a while, I'll pick up an athlete, you know, one athlete on the track team or something like that, and pole vaulter or hurdler or something like that that excels a little bit more than what the coaches that are at the small school that I in the area that I live in.
Yeah, with me being a musician, I've got to factor in that and you know, work it around gigs, you know. Obviously I couldn't, you know, there's just so much going on to prepare for a show that I wouldn't be able to do, you know, an open house on a weekend that I have a show booked. But we try not to book any more than 2 shows a month, so I can still do the 24 as a goal. I think that would work. But anyways.
But anyway, you know, have a personal life, but understand that you know, we work different hours. We're not a typical 9 to 5 type of job. You know, which is, you know, sometimes it can be a lot more hours, but at the same time is that we have flexibility in our schedule. We can decide when we're going to work and when we're not going to work, when we're going to be with our family, and when we're going to, you know, be at our job. What I can say is that when you set your goals, set your business goals and set your personal goals. So, you know, I've already got it out. I've got 2 1-week vacations. I'm going to take my wife out on 24 date nights. I'm gonna spend this time with my 17-year-old. You know, I've got that in my business plan because that is part of my life. You know, it's not just business, it's not just family, but it's both. You got to incorporate both. So I put in, you know, what events I'm going to go to. You know, I've got that all booked out. You know, it's on my calendar. You know, it's complete. I know exactly how many calls that I have to make to do a certain amount of closings. Once you, and I can't stress it, I'll stress it again, know your numbers, keep track of your numbers, because those numbers, when you know what your numbers are, you can say, you know something, you know, I only made 60,000, which was fine, you know, this year, but I'd really like to double that. I'd like to make 120. Well, if you know your numbers, you know exactly what you need to do to get to 120.
Yeah, you know, being new, Dan, I decided to wait just a little bit to do my business plan because I don't have the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, to figure out I mean, I used to run a bunch of gas stations and convenience stores, and I had to do P&L statements and all of that stuff, but I knew the numbers. You know what I mean? I don't have the information I need to create that plan as of yet, but hopefully here real soon.
Well, trying to figure out how to, I think, you can just get out of that. Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about Place is that, if you don't know your numbers, they have what, an accumulation. I mean, Place is the largest real estate team in the nation. Ben Kinney, who heads all this, he is the #1 agent in Keller Williams in the nation. And then Chris Suarez, who's his partner who created Place, he owns all the Keller Williams on the West Coast. So you got two great minds that have brought together this whole thing, and that they're knowledgeable enough that they can look through real estate averages as a whole, and they got kind of an idea, and they literally put in the percentages. So if you don't know, you just go based on those percentages. You can put in the number you want to make, and boom, it all fills in.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of writing in the activities that you're going to do to achieve that goal. And so I happen to know my numbers, better than not knowing them at all, and stuff. And there's some things I had to go back this last year. I go through my numbers, each year, and then I adjust my goals accordingly. But at any rate, it's just really important that you track. Track your calls, how many contacts you made out of your calls. If you called 50 people and you only made contact with 15 people, write that down. You don't need, you can go into your notes, into your CRM, write your notes down, but just know what your numbers are, your basic numbers. If I'm averaging, for every 50 calls that I contact 15 people, and out of those 15 people that I get 2 leads, and out of those 2 leads, I get, or say 4 leads, out of those 15 people, I'm going to get 4 leads. And out of those 4 leads, I'm going to get 2 clients. And out of those 2 clients, I'm going to get 1 closing. That for every 50 people you call, I'm going to get 1 closing. So if my goal is to close, 20 deals, how many people do I need to call?
I follow you. Yeah.
It's easy. You got to call 1,000 people over the course of the year, to close those 20 deals. So it's just knowing those numbers, and how many closings do I get for each open house? Maybe I have to do 2 open houses to get 1 closing. But there again, it tells you how many open houses you have to do to reach your goal. So we're done. So I'm here for any more questions. But if people need to leave, I'm here till the last one.
Well, I appreciate you, Dan. That's a lot of really good information. My goal right now is I've got to build my database. I really got to get a bunch more people in there. And I think probably one of the easiest ways to do that will be for me to start doing more open houses.
Well, that one of the things that when we're onboarding is, and I think you were at Eric's class, course that he did.
Yes.
At a Cub Scout or Boy Scouts,
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the onboarding for a new Place agent is to fill in 200 of his sphere, or people of influence. People that past clients, not just people that that are leads that you haven't met yet, or that you haven't built a rapport with. These are family, friends, and things. But once you start going through that, you want all their information. You want their address, their email, and their phone number. What I realized when I first did it, and and this is after 15 years, that there was a lot of people I didn't have emails for. There was a lot of people I had emails but didn't have phone numbers for. Or there was a lot of people that I had that information but didn't have addresses for. And then I started realizing there's a lot of people I didn't have down. And I started thinking, oh God, this person, all the athletes that I've coached, all the parents of those athletes. Oh my God, all of a sudden, it was way over 200, and then I started just filling in. Gives me a reason to contact them, to start contacting. And then, I look at it and I go, okay, well, this is my total sphere database. And that my goal is to call them every quarter. So that means 4 times a year. So how many do I have to call each day to achieve that? And when I looked at it, it's like, wow, I only got to call like 10 a day, 7, 8 to 10 a day, and to make that contact. And if you make that contact 4 times, just your sphere, you're going to get a lot of people. It doesn't have to be people that live locally too either. Put in your family members that that you're close with or stay in contact with, that are in other areas, because they might know somebody that is purchasing in that area that doesn't have a realtor, and guess what? You can find them a realtor and get a referral out of it. So it's just, it's amazing when you start putting in that database and start, make it a goal of 200 people. And once you start doing that, you're thinking of people that that you haven't thought of in a while. I mean, you start going through your old emails, you start going through your phone book, your contacts, and start filling that in. And then you're thinking of somebody that you lost all contact with, but that you had a close relationship with at one time, but somebody that is on your database that knows that person. Call, say, hey, I was honest. I said, look, I'm just trying to fill in my contact list, and I don't, and Billy Bob was, we were close, and I just got to thinking about him, but I don't have his information. Do you have his phone number? And again, gives you another reason to call. I started making those calls, and my first day I called 10 of them, and I got a referral out of one, and I got a listing out of another one.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so two out of 10 ain't bad.
No, it's not bad at all, really.
Yeah. So
How do you deal with like I was going through, my phone, and there's a whole lot of people that I'm acquainted with, through either working on their motorcycle or, riding with them, or, people that have come to see the band or whatever, but a lot of them are older. I mean, I'm 56, and most of my friends are 10 years older than me. They're set in their ways. A lot of them don't have email, and I've had a lot of them say, well, I don't really deal with email, and I wish you good luck, but I really don't want to be bothered with any of that. And I don't know anybody. So everybody I know is that, they're not going to move. They're not going to. How do you deal with that? I mean, do you just take them out of your database, or you know what I mean? It's hard to deal with something like that.
Well, if you got a phone number, don't take them out. If you got an email, don't take them out. If you don't have any way of contacting them, then take them out. Because if you have no way, if you know their address, I mean, obviously these people at least have a phone number.
Sure.
So you can call. And you just say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, that I'm still working on motorcycles. I'm still playing music, but actually I've been thinking about this for a while, and I got my license, and I'm actually going into real estate, and just wanted to let you know, so that if you've got any real estate needs, in the future, that maybe give me a call, let me know, or maybe you hear of somebody, let me know. When you call to, you can call people to start, your business plan, and tell them, hey, I'm just trying to get my schedule out for the next year, and I want to be
I want to be available should you have any real estate plans over the course of the next year. So I wanted to give you a call and find out, do you have any real estate goals for this next year, buying or selling? And sometimes they'll say, sometimes you get a lead out of it. If they say no, well, okay, that's great, and stuff. Well, let me know if you hear of anybody and stuff. I'd really appreciate the referral, and it's building your business.
Sure. And then after that, how long do you wait before you contact them again? If it's if it's kind of a cold situation, they're not even lukewarm, it seems like more cold. Well, I don't know, but okay, kind of.
Well, when you nurture somebody, and stuff, I mean, the goal is 36 touches a year. Now, touches doesn't mean 36 calls.
Right.
I would, like I say, your database, your sphere, the people that you want to make it a goal to talk to them 4 times during the year, 1 time a quarter.
Okay.
And so you've got that, but then there's other things that you can send out announcements, for those that do have emails. Yeah, stuff. You can send out announcements. Hey, I'm having a pie giveaway for Thanksgiving, or hey, we're gonna have a barbecue at the park, you're more than welcome to come, type of thing, and have client events and stuff like that. You can say, hey, got this new listing, and just thought I'd send it out, see if anybody knows anybody that's looking to buy, that this might fit their criteria. On those people that are on social media, just writing something to them once in a while and liking all their stuff, and things like that, so that they're seeing, oh, Tim liked that, and stuff. Oh, Tim, hey, Tim asked me a question on this, or he commented on this, and you always want to be kind of in front of them. You don't want them to forget. The worst thing that has happened to me is understanding that I've coached a lot of kids that are now adults, and I've realized how many of them have purchased houses. In fact, just one recently across the street from me.
Oh, wow.
But I wasn't their realtor.
Oh, bummer.
And so you look at that and you go, wow, man, I'm really close to her parents, and I coached her in track and field, and I've always talked to her once in a while, things, and but I didn't maintain enough touches for her to remember that I'm the go-to realtor that she should be using. And so once you have a system in place, that's the biggest thing, is building the system that's going to work to get the touches that you need. Once you have that system in place, then it becomes a lot easier, and that's the reason for doing tasks. Call so-and-so, next task, I'm going to email, on such and such a date, and that way you just open up your task, you go, okay, here's my task for the day.
Here it is. Here's what I got to do for today. Yeah, I get that. That's great. All right, Dan. Well, I sure appreciate you, man. I got to get going. Time for me to go to the gym. I'd like to skip it, but when you're 56 years old, you got to go to the gym.
Yeah, well, tell me about it. I'm 62 myself. And
oh, wow. You hold it well. You don't look it.
Yeah. Well, I might not look it, but my body feels it. I'm bad knees. And I'd spend 3 hours in the gym, lifting and stuff. I used to do bodybuilding workouts and things when I was in law enforcement, and I intimidated people just by looking at me when I was back then. Now I'm just a marshmallow.
Yeah, I hurt my back in January, and well, I've had a bad back since the 80s, but I hurt it pretty good in January, and I haven't lifted since then. And
Yeah.
I'm been like you, I don't know, 2 weeks into it now, and I'm past the soreness, so.
Yeah.
You know how that goes starting over.
Yeah. But no, I'd say I've had kind of the same problem, lower back problems, and so I haven't never been to one before, but I'm seeing a chiropractor now, and I'll tell you in 3 months how I'm doing.
All right, well, good luck with that. All right, well, thanks again, Dan. We'll talk to
Okay.
you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.